Hi everyone, it's Karen here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is another Friday and there is a new Personal Art Diaries. This is number 12. I can't believe it's actually been 12 weeks since I started this series, and I can't tell you how happy it makes me feel that all of you are just responding to this in such a positive way, and it's helping so many people to kind of deal with things that they feel they might be the only ones going through. And just to let you know that, and to, if when you read the comments or when you hear what I have to say, you feel that maybe that's not the case. Today's topic is about finding your own style, and that's something that I know a lot of people in the creative community struggle with. And there's such pressure of finding your own style that we kind of get lost in that. And trust me, I know firsthand how that feels. When I started creating, I was basically getting inspired by so many people and copying people, not putting it online per se, but I remember like when I started scrapbooking, one of my first layouts that I actually copied was from a magazine that I think is Creative Keepsakes then at the time. And really later I found out that that was actually a layout that had been created by Gabi Polacco, which I've always admired. So I copied that layout to make it into my own thing, not even thinking that, I'm just doing the same thing. It didn't matter. I didn't post it online or anything. It was basically for my own personal thing. And what I realized is that in order for anybody to get their style going or to finding your own style, you need to do that. You need to kind of copy people and learn techniques and learn. You can't just suddenly come out the first time you're creating and knowing that you have your own style. And style is kind of divided into many categories, but it also depends on what you're doing. If you're making cards, if you're making scrapbooking, if you're doing art journaling, mixed media, altered projects, whatever it is, you might have different styles related to that. You might make very beautiful watercolor cards, but then you love art journaling and you might be making textured stuff. So you could have different styles depending on what type of surface you're using, what type of project you're doing, and so forth. But if we talk in the general theme of style, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint people's style. So, for example, there is the watercoloring, very whimsical, pastel-looking style. Then there is like vintage, and then there is mixed media, grungy, steampunk. There is so many different kinds. There is like painting styles. There is so many different kinds that it kind of makes it puts us in a box, and that's what I have a really hard time with, because I can't be put in a box and I don't want to be put in a box. I love creating. That's my style. My style is creating. And the reason why I thought about this topic and why it came up is recently my friend Crystal mentioned that she really loved my diverse style. She thought that it was interesting that I could create so many different projects and their styles are so different. And it made me think, do I actually have a style? Do I actually have something that when people look at my work, they know it's mine, even if I didn't post it myself? And I believe I do, but it took me many, many years to get to that point. So if we go by somebody, for example, I will mention Crystal. She does the most beautiful vintage things, and her style is vintage, and she stays in the vintage style, and that's amazing. That's amazing to actually stay in that specific style. But for me, I feel like it's limiting me because I love so many different styles, and within those styles I have my own style, if that makes sense. So for example, like if you look at like collaged mixed media, things with like just papers and like drawings, or like adding things in art journaling, I have my own style. I do feel that my style is, let's call it, I don't want to call it busy, but very full, very rich, very bright colored. Okay, if you look at somebody like Dina Wakley, her style is like drawing faces. It's very like continuous in that regards, and she has a lot of flow in her movements and in her paints and things like that. Mine has flow as well, but it's a different type of flow. So mine kind of flows from one area to the other when it's art journaling. Then you have people like Anna Dabrowska, who has like a beautiful art journaling vintage style, but when you look at her mixed media, it's completely grungy and steampunk. And then you have people that leave a lot of white space, and that is their style. Two of my good friends, Tiffany and Nuneka, they actually leave white space in their journals, and I'm trying to learn from them as well how to leave a little bit of white space, because my style doesn't leave that white space, and I love my style and I love their style, and they're two different styles, but those are just for art journaling. So I think what I want to get out of this is that we shouldn't be focused so much on what is our style. What we should be focusing on is creating because we love to create, because creating makes us feel good. Somebody mentioned to me, your style is happiness, and I thought, oh, that actually makes sense, because when I create, I feel so happy that comes out in my work. Now, don't get me wrong, I've spoken about how I've created in times where I wasn't happy, that I was sad, and you can see that style when I was sad was way different from my style when I'm happy. So my style changes, my style evolves, and I believe that anybody can have their own style, but that might change from year to year, from week to week. Like, things change, because as you're learning, as you're experimenting, as you're growing in this journey, in this creative journey, you're going to find that your style moves. It kind of goes like an ebb and flow, kind of like a wave. And you don't have to be put in a box. The only box that I am willing to be put in is the creative box. And that's all I'm willing to do, because I get inspired from so many different people. And sometimes somebody inspires me and I create and I copy that style. Obviously, I give them credit, but whether that's my style or not, that might not be my style, but I still love creating. So I am putting myself in that category. And I think a lot of people feel that way too. Unless you specifically love a specific style and that's all you create, which is amazing, because it's really hard for me to be kind of put in that box. But unless you are in that category, which a lot of people are, I really believe that it's important to not be stressed that you don't have your own style, because that's really, really like biased. Like, it's kind of like puts you in a box, like I said, and we should have wings to fly and create. We should not be put in that type of a situation where we have to feel that we need to have a style in order for us to be like creative. We should just be able to create freely and not feel that stress to find our own style. And I truly, truly believe that as you create and create more and more and more things, your style will come through. And that might be, like me, something where I have different things that are my style, or you will have a specific style that you just love and fall in love with. For example, I realized a lot of things, as I said before, about myself last year, and that is that I don't enjoy making cards. And although I love making backgrounds, and I was making lots of backgrounds for cards in the past few years, I don't enjoy that. So I took that part out of the equation. Scrapbooking was another thing. I did scrapbooking for 17 years, and I felt like I had to move away from it. I still have a style in scrapbooking, but it kind of evolved into something where I wanted to focus on art journaling as mixed media. And as I said, now that I'm focused on those two things, and also that might evolve into something else, I have to believe that my style comes through, even though it has influences from many things. If you look at different periods of art, like Impressionism, Cubism, that is a style, but you can see the influence of so many different artists, and they all kind of look similar. They all have their own different style, but they were kind of all following that movement. They were influenced by each other. And that's what happens with me. I get influenced by other people and I love their style, and I try to kind of combine some of the things that I learned from them into my own style. So I put my own twist into things, and that's a style. So as I said, what I encourage you to do, if you are trying to find your style, and I put that in brackets because that's what I'm trying to say about this topic, that if you are trying to find it, start by basically copying different creative people that are out there in the community, and start, obviously please give them credit. It's really, really important because you want to kind of respect them in that way. But start copying their styles and start twisting things and kind of getting inspired by things and experimenting with different things. And eventually you're going to realize that you're kind of getting into that same pattern, because style is basically just a pattern of things, a pattern of different thoughts or different actions that you take. So you're going to get inspired that way, and you're going to eventually, that style is going to come through your artwork whether you notice it or not. I really hope that this makes sense and that you enjoyed my personal art diaries today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you haven't joined my Facebook group, please join. I would love to see what you create with my inspired by my projects or my products. The name is Keren, Tamir and Friends Creative Space. And I would love for you to follow me also on Instagram. If you get inspired by anything that I create, please tag me. I would really love to see what you do because I always share all the artwork. Thank you so much, everyone, and have an amazing day. Bye.